What are your first thoughts?
Oh, just wrapped for the youngsters of the Tigers to play like that with such courage and such bravery and real expression. We're all going to talk about Sam Lawler because he was amazing. He was the highest score involvement player on the ground last night, with the exception of the dual Brownlow medalist. Everything he touched turned to gold. His handballing from inside traffic to outside created so many easy scores for his teammates. It was like, wow, how is this guy seeing the game so clearly in his first 100 minutes of footy?
Yeah, the one where he had half a second to decide whether he was going to have a shot, and he could have, but he's now going to give it over the top. I think Ross kicked the snap goal. But gee, you can't teach that. The old coach of mine, Phil Walsh, used to say often, can't teach that. And that was what it looked like last night. There was about 5 can't teach that moments. And then to see what or forecast to where he's going to get to, it's every bit of those powerful first-round picks that we've seen and the prototype AFL footballer that are the Petrarca-type forward half, what Heaney was able to do last year, what Port Adelaide are hoping Horne-Francis can be or nearly is. That's what you got. That's what you've got, a goal-kicking, powerful midfielder who can do his damage in the front half. And he was their guy. They identified him. He was injured at times last year in his draft year, which complicated a few things leading into the draft. But he was the one they wanted, and they took him without hesitation, and, gee, they're going to be rewarded for it.
Yeah, it sort of flies in the face of teams saying or clubs saying, you don't need to bottom out to rebuild and come back up. You see this guy. You go, well, there's the gap between pick 1 and pick 10. It's huge. So they've got a lot to look forward to, the Tigers. I thought the other youngsters were really quite special. So I thought Luke Traynor, some of the things that he did, there was a smother in the square where he'd already committed one effort. You very rarely see a first game or an 18-year-old have the wherewithal and the courage to go again, and he laid a big smother. It was a goal-saving act that you thought, oh, okay, here we go. That's the best game I've seen Jack Ross play. I don't know if he's got that level in him on a consistent basis, but 28 touches, 2 goals, 7 clearances. They just needed a bit of class in the midfield, and we've bashed Taranto and Hopper for a long time, but I just thought they needed someone to be able to damage centre forward. Volume was good from all of them, but Ross was the one that not only was able to hit the scoreboard, he was a high metres game player, and he got I think he got 7 clearances for the night, so he was excellent.
And I think from the discussions I've had with just a couple of Richmond fans over the off-season, what do they want to see? You ask, okay, you've got the 3 trophies in recent time in the bank, so that's just brilliant. Whatever happens, you can be really comfortable for almost your lifetime that this is what you've got. So they were supportive of this strategy, and you think, well, it's going to be hard, and it still will be hard. Don't worry about that. But what did they want to see? Well, they wanted to see what you've said. Some youngsters come through and take the club forward, and there's still a couple, Smiley and Houghton and a few others that we're going to see at some point, which is going to be exciting. But the big thing is, what is Adamuze's style of football that he wants them to play, and will he demand that style? And you go last night and you rock up and go, I can see what it is. Come hard forward, pressure the absolute life out of them, give unwavering and uncompromising effort when you need to. Senior players lead the way. I thought Vlosten's second half was enormous. I thought Nan Curvis was just sensational. I thought, it's the best game I've seen Hopper play for a while. Not massive numbers, but that's what you're asking for. What's McIntosh going to be able to give you? What can Lynch give you? But to kick 9 goals off turnover, 9 goals to 4 off turnover, and that their ability to go back and score if they, well, maybe that's what Adamuze is asking them to do, and we can speak to Nan Curvis about that a little bit later on. But that's what would be thrilling, I reckon, for Richmond fans. Yep, the excitement of the youngsters, but an identifiable game plan that we can turn up and know the way that our side is trying to play every week.
So that's the summer period, building the knowledge and the buy-in from the collective, which is clearly on show game 1 of his second season. Terrific. In-game coaching. I thought his ability to use pawns, I mean that in not a derogatory way,
in a chess way,
guys like Bauer, to take Wiedering to the goal square, to take him out of the play. There's 2 sides to this. the Carlton side and the Richmond side. I thought to do that and to get that handled and to get Wiedering, who was he was a one-man wall there for the first 2.5 quarters of football. That's good coaching. And they took away Carlton's uncontested marking game. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but they were able to pinch 15 metres, 20 metres, 25 metres and walk the ball down the ground early and then put the Richmond back 6 under pressure. They built that lead. Carlton built a substantial 41-point lead. To see them just say, okay, this is the solution, it's very difficult to turn this around. We never see these games turned like this. I mean, there was a stat given to us post-game. It's the first time a team on record has lost contested possession by by 20 or more, and inside 50s by 25 or more, and lost by 13 points, the greatest margin. So it's an ever. We like a record. So congratulations to Adam Uze for being able to do this.
And you need those little wins, don't you, and the belief, and that's what this is going to give them. There's going to be challenges, there's no doubt about that, but you've got to celebrate performances like this. And once again, when you speak of the effort, you just click on tackles in the last quarter, plus 10, tired legs, young bodies, third youngest list in the comp, I think it is. And you out-tackle Carlton by 10 in the last quarter. And, I mean, you mentioned the entries and the wave of entries. At one point, I think the Blues had 10 in a row, but they continually held up and made it really difficult, and they defended for their life. So, Tigers fans, 1300 736 736 is the number. Very shortly, Blues fans, we're going to let you unleash. But right now, it is the positives of last night, and that was the Tigers. 0433 98 11 16. Wow, didn't you say Kane Collingwood were playing witches' hats against the Tigers? I did. We've addressed that. If you're just waking up to us this morning, we've replayed my comments on Richmond. I'm not sure they were wrong. I just thought it was an unbelievable effort performance that willed them. How much can I give them? I've given them a lot this morning. I've just told you at 6:05 this morning, it's the best home and away win I've ever seen. What more do you want?
It's a bad defeat for the aura believers.
Yeah.
Vossi's got aura everywhere.
Yeah, well, he does. It is. You realise, you idiots out there, it's one game, don't you?
I'm just here.
My Twitter feed's like burning.
I know.
Aura.
I know.
Aura.
My handle's just thrown in there. We're not shifting. You're not shifting your thought. I think it's great to be able to see, like you said, a game plan that looks sustainable with this pressure.
Yeah.
This hunting of the loose ball. So there's something there. It's not dissimilar, really, to what Damien Hardwick was doing.
It looked that way, didn't it?
Which is a shift from Uze's plan last year. Looked like it was more the Melbourne of 2023.
More controlled, kicked the contest down the line, which was reported that the players weren't happy with that. I love seeing him back up in the box, which is what I said last year. Get off the interchange bench where you were prone to just sitting.
Don't clip him.
No. This is a compliment.
Okay.
Get off the interchange bench where you're clapping and cheering and laughing and joking. Get up to the box. You have been appointed for your strategic mind. You can't be the strategic mind on the interchange bench. I love seeing him back up in the box last night, making those moves that you speak of, implementing the game plan and controlling things from up there rather than getting caught up in the emotion of the game, which he did too much last year. But Blues fans, we told you to give us a call and you've answered that call. Nando is in Epping. Morning to you, Nando. How you feeling?
Morning, how you going?
Good.
Done it again. 41 points up, 8 goals to 1, right? And then they turn around and dish up that second half. Kane, I don't know where we go from here. Where do we go?
Well, I'll tell you where you go. You go to the MCG next week against Hawthorn in one of the biggest games we've seen for a long time for that football club. But you should be rightly disappointed. There's questions around the Blues heading into the season, which Kingy, you and I have discussed, and the big question marks for them. How's the back six going to be?
Defence made a straw.
That's it. And it looked a bit flaky last night.
Flaky.
If Jacob Wiedering goes down, my goodness.
He was unbelievable.
He was amazing.
That's as good a game as you'll see from a centre-half-back, full-back type. He's just desperate for support. And I know they're looking at Haynes and Silvani, and McGovern's always been there. But they don't have a nominal centre-half-back. I know Kemp looks good up forward. This is the same discussion as McCartan. I think Kemp has to go back. because he's the only one that plays, to me, like a centre half back.
And Silvani looked like the only one who's going to catch it in the last quarter when the ball kept going inside forward 50. He had a couple of goes, nearly took one, then pulled down a ripper. So maybe there's something to work with there. But once it's your discussion that we had the other day about McCartan, if you chuck Silvani forward now, you're almost admitting that everything you've worked for 80% of your pre-season hasn't worked. And then the players start to question that. My biggest concern for the Blues, though, Nando, is the best teams have elite small forwards, not just one. They have 3 or 4 of them, and Carlton don't have one. When you're looking at it, Motlop was really disappointing. 4th year now, and had some really ordinary moments trying to kick the ball off the ground and be a bit smart and not strong enough in the contest. Francis Evans isn't going to be your answer. I'm telling you that right now, and Geelong knew that and Port Adelaide knew that, so he's more of your depth player. Is it Cottrell? You know,
Fogarty,
it's not. They do not have anything that looks like an elite small forward, and the best teams have got at least one, probably 2. If you're Hawthorn, there's 5. If you're Brisbane, there's 4 or 5 of them. So that would be my biggest concern. Nigel's on the line. What's your thoughts, Nige?
Mate, I was thinking about this overnight when I rang up last night saying that we should sack Michael Voss, and I just want to reiterate. that.
What?
That last year in the final. Do you remember against Brisbane? It was 60-0 at one point.
Yeah, well, they had half a team, Nige.
Come on, man.
It was 60-0.
That's unfair.
Over the summer, we've done nothing, and if we don't make a change and we don't get a premiership in the next couple of years, we're going to miss out for another 10 or 15 years.
Gee
Which
whiz.
will extend our premiership drought to 40 or 50 years. We have to get on the phone to Longmire or Roos and do something, because we're going to waste the list. The list is going to be wasted under Michael Voss, because what has he done over the summer, guys? What has he done?
Well, he's done a lot. Look, he was 41 points up at one stage, Niles. Would you give any credit for that?
Not when you lose the way we did.
Okay, all right.
Like
So-
we did this last year where we would play like 1 or 2 quarters
Okay.
and then disappear, and we haven't changed.
I don't think the answer is just sacking coaches, though, Nigel. I think you've got to look a bit deeper than
We've
that.
just mentioned the amount of coaches they've had since the year 2000 in our quiz.
It's a policy that really hasn't worked for them. Oh, look, so the planning was perfect. The planning was spot on to get themselves a 7-goal lead, and then for whatever reason, as soon as they lost their uncontested marking out, I've never seen a backline as timid, with the exception of Wiedering. I haven't seen a backline as timid and as frightened to either pick the ball up while it's bobbling around. They kicked it off the ground and coughed up easy goals. Yeah. They dropped marks. The handballing missed targets by a 7-metre handball missed the target by 5 metres more often than not. It was really poor. And I look at McGovern. He had 14 touches last night and was pretty good at winning the ball back, right? 8 intercepts, which is a pretty solid night. His 3 cough-ups cost 3 goals. Like you just can't live with that. The severe penalty you pay on turnover is just too much. Silvani did some things and looked okay, so he'll probably start at halfback again. I would get McGovern forward. I think that he's a good third tall forward, and I just think you've got to move on from him being a backman for you.
Curnow to come back. Fantasia's not going to help you with that elite small forward. A second ruck at times would have been handy, but Pitnet's still sort of 5 weeks away. For the life of me, I just don't understand Cripps rucking. It's just one of the more unfair things that you're asking a star player to do, and he looked absolutely gassed as a result, taking on Nan Curvis in the ruck. Just do not get that, and we'll never get that. And then there's a couple of long-term injuries as well, Jagger Smith and Nick Newman. The focus of those that are really going to hurt. Good on you, Nige.
So clearly when Curnow comes back, Harry does the second ruck work.
You'd hope so. But
Yeah,
Cripps
he
has
does.
done it in the past as well. It just blows my mind.
You can't play the full year
Do
doing
you know who else can ruck? Just
Who?
put Kemp in there. Put someone that is expendable, not your dual Brownlow medalist when you need him to impact in the last quarter and he's rucking and he's on hands and knees because he can't compete.
The way you said
One
Kemp
of-
then was really...
Just put
Quite
anyone in there other than your marquee superstar, Patrick Cripps, in the ruck
we-
against Nan Curvis.
Can we give a couple of positives?
Can that be my in the gun?
You can. Well, it's a bit early.
Oh.
Reload and we'll go again in a minute.
Far out.
Wiedering, big tick, huge
Tick.
tick, ready for a big year. Patrick Cripps picked up where he left off. 9 clearances, 9 scoring involvements, 30-odd touches, and probably almost gets the 3 votes. He'll probably get the 3 votes Brownlow night. De Koning versus Nank
so
was
good.
unreal.
It was marquee.
It was like a prize fight, wasn't it?
Career high for De Koning in
He was
disposals everywhere. He's ready to absolutely explode if he hasn't already.
If they were going to win the game, it was going to be him.
Yep.
And his clearance follow-up work was just terrific. Walsh went missing when they needed him. Akers does some nice things on the outside, but not really when you absolutely need him. Sard sifts around. They need more Adam Sard. And I don't know whether it's to throw him in the middle at times, Gornsey. I think they need to challenge him to give more. Outside of that, not a lot to talk about. Nick Haynes creates a lot of soft drops. Third man back into the contest, and all he does is bring the ball to ground and leave his man at ground level. There's a couple of goals there last night that come at the wrong times.
You always go first. Who you got in the gun?
You want me to go first? I got Sam Lawler's jocks in the gun. They didn't work. They didn't function as they should have last night. Didn't keep everything in full check. I know it was a big goal, but come on, man. We need to get underworks onto this, man. So that's done for Grays Online. No, I think in a serious sense.
Just before you move on I don't think he's going to have a problem getting a undergarment sponsor.
I didn't know where
an
you were
undergarment sponsor.
I didn't know.
Because the player that he looks like had one. And I don't think there's going to be any problems.
I didn't know where you were going for a sec there. No problem with the sponsor.
Who else have you got in the gun?
Alistair Clarkson in the gun.
Oh, okay.
I think this is a huge week for the Kangaroos.
Tell me more.
When they take on the Western Bulldogs without a whole host of star factor players, you very rarely get an opportunity like this to start the season with a scalp. A club that's desperately in need of turning the corner, been down for a long period of time. This is a game that they just absolutely need to be in for the 120 minutes if they are to lose. But I'm looking at the lineups and I'm thinking, well, why would you be thinking of losing this sort of game? We've just witnessed what a team of young players can do if they just bring 100% effort. And I think the Richmond Football Club are a great example for the young North Melbourne midfield. And it's just time. It's time for the Kangaroos to actually show that the rebuild is out of that absolute bottom of the bell curve phase.
Yeah. And I think last night adds to that pressure, as you've just referenced. Caleb Daniel comes into this lineup, Darling and Parker. So that's what you got them for the experience in and amongst the young players, Finn O'Sullivan and Constanti making their debuts as well. Can't wait to see O'Sullivan in particular in action. But they're not wanting for much. I'm looking at Larkey. I'm looking at Davies Uniacke. I'm looking at Harry Sheasel. Curtis is a good player. Zerha's a good player. It's a good lineup. And I think they win. I think they will win. And I think they should win. I think it's a good in the gun. All right, who's in the gun?
Who you got in the gun?
You know, sometimes just like you then have been drawn to your own footy clubs. I think it's okay to do that from time to time, particularly at round one.
Yeah.
Jack Lukosius is in the gun.
He hasn't even played.
Jack Lukosius is in the gun. You have come across on a 6-year contract. You are 24 years of age. You have got all the tools to be a very, very good AFL footballer. You're going to play in the role that you think you are best suited to. Port Adelaide need you to play in that role really effectively, and it's not going to be 4 goals every week. But we can't have the fluctuating effort, the poor body language, not touching the footy for a quarter and a half, and you think to yourself, is Lukosius playing? There's too many of those moments. He'll flash through, Lukosius is playing. Now, I'm hoping for the best here. I'm nervous that there's going to be some concern, but he's got all the tools to be a very good AFL footballer. Port Adelaide have identified something, as did the Gold Coast when they drafted him inside the top 5 all those years ago. 116 games, 24 years of age. You're in the prime. The time is now. So, Jack Lukosius, you're in the gun.
Nice. I like that one.
0433 98 11 16. This is for Grays.com, Australia's leading online auction marketplace. It is the best place. It's easy to buy and sell. Check it out, Grays.com. 0433 98 11 16. Give us your thoughts.
A lot of people say, Andrew South Oakley says that North Melbourne people hate me, right? It's because I think when you talk about your own team, you want to see performance. I think it's a fair assumption to say they're in this game. I'm not saying they necessarily have to win, but they have to be right in it for 120 minutes if they aren't winning.
No Bont, no Treloar, no Jones, no Jamara. I mean, there's no Waitman. There's probably 3 others that I've missed. Not sure if Dale's going to get himself up.
So I think you have to call a spade a spade. I don't know.
And I don't think that's unfair. If you were being unfair, I would say I think you're being a bit harsh. Like, but this is a game that is very much winnable. I think they will win, and I think they should be winning. And 8 games is reasonable this year. I think that's the progression that North are on this year. I think they'll get there. I think it's going to be a pleasant year for them.
Wouldn't you love to play under Libba as captain? Yeah. Libba as captain.
Well deserved.
You know what I'm looking forward to? You know when they come in for the huddle for the big speech just before pre-game? I guarantee you they break in fits of laughter. I guarantee it. He's just a different dude. He's super popular with this group and will play, I think, on the weekend like his life depends on it. He'll be a great leader for them.
Yeah, he will be. And I think the post-game, if they get up, will be interesting as well. But it's well-deserved. He's played like a captain, hasn't he? And now to have that title next to his name is richly deserved for him. So we'll see what Bevo and the Dogs can come up with under a significant amount of challenges personnel-wise. The Richmond performance last night does heap a bit of pressure on some of the other clubs.
It does.
And I do look at the Saints because I've been fascinated by them in the off season just with the messaging out of the club, which I've said repeatedly. But they've compared themselves to Richmond in terms of the profile of their list and the age. Well, let's see it. Richmond did it. Let's see how long you can stay in this game against Adelaide for. And we saw the pre-season form with the Tigers. Means little. Is the same going to be
wet
with the Saints in Adelaide?
No.
Because my garden is just like so thirsty.
I'm worried about the shed.
Honestly, the garden
the shed takes him water. We've got problems.
So thirsty, and I was so relieved to see some rain, but apparently the forecast has just changed slightly, which is good for footy, not good for selfish reasons, and that's the garden.